Hello minasan, this is Yuki, your realist Himidere Shinbyu elf, and today I'm going to share with you some of my wisdom regarding anime that has main character as Prankster, or let's say Flirtious, or more accurately like have tendency of teasing the other main character in the story. And usually this teasing comes as main part of their personality and also a way to push through the storyline, as well as the romantic feelings that starts building up. So we find this teasing character, the female or male character, usually trying to get out their counterpart from the comfort zone and encourage them to interact more with people around them and open up to others in order to reach further character development. I know this is not the case for every single anime I'm gonna speak about today, but I'm just trying to explain here that this kind of interest doesn't stem just from the mainstream sexual part, but mostly from a certain type of personality that I find personally intriguing. It's like people who love following yandere characters, people who love so much tsundere characters or dandares. So this is a different type of, let's say, pattern of behaviors that you find in certain anime that I'm gonna speak about today. So I hope that you enjoy it, and also that you give some of these shows a chance in case you didn't already. Let's start. I'm going to speak today about a total of 12 anime related with main characters who love teasing, and I'm sure the first one that came to your mind is Teasing Master Takagi-san, which is an anime that has been released in 2018. It has 3 seasons, each one of them is 12 episodes, and also it has a live action, which I think already came out. I didn't check it out yet, I really want to. And a manga version where they are growing up, got married and they have a child and everything. And it's extremely cute. I read the grown up version manga after I finished the normal one, and I loved it so much. So let's embark on the summary of this story. Is talking about having a friend that knows you inside out should be a good thing, but in Nishikata's case, the opposite is true. His classmate Takagi loves to tease him on a daily basis, and she uses her extensive knowledge of his behavior to predict exactly how he will react to her teasing, making it nearly impossible for Nishikata to ever make a successful comeback. Despite this, Nishikata vows to someday give Takagi a taste of her own medicine by making her blush out of embarrassment from his teasing. So, personally, I think this show is really fun, really creative in terms of childish teasing. It's family friendly. I think you can watch it with your brother, sister, with a larger group. There is no fan service in it that could make it uncomfortable in any way. I think originally the target group for this show are people from the age of 12 to 16, but honestly, personally, I would watch it anytime. I really love this show. I don't care about the target group, but yeah, I have to let you know that you might feel like it's a bit too childish for your age group, just in case, but I still enjoyed it. The story is actually more character focused affair, so it's not plot driven as much as it's character driven, with something more of a narrative arc to it. A year following Nishikata and his desk neighbors in and out of school, it's very much the interaction between the two that drives the story as a whole. It's really sweet, and also shows this effective relationship develops and also turn into these heartfelt warm moments eventually. This is all what I have to say. I don't want to spoil you. Please go ahead with it. I think another thing I have to mention about Teasing Master Takagi-san is that something I noticed in the anime, and I personally really loved, is that each time that Nishikata gets so close to, like, honestly, like genuinely pranking Takagi, and if he feels like what he's gonna do is gonna hurt her or make her cry or put her in a very difficult position morally in front of other people, he immediately regrets it, and he immediately tries to protect her, and he messes up his own prank. And he's a really kind person, so he cannot really, and he really loves her in some ways, so he finds it very difficult to actually put her in a like truly embarrassing situation in front of other people. So It's kind of the combination of his desire for revenge, but his kindness that always messed up his own tricks in some way. So this is another small spoiler, I would say, but I hope that you notice that throughout this series. If you are one of those people who follow seasonal anime, you must have come across tweetards trashing out Sugoi Dekai. I'm calling it Sugoi Dekai because that's what most of the people on the internet call it. But the truth is that that's not the name of the anime. The name of the anime is Hana-san Wants to Play, or more like Hana-chan Asobitai. It was released in 2020, it has 12 episodes and 2 seasons. The reason why this particular show was so horribly attacked by tweetards, well, people who use Twitters and retards, is because of the design of the main character, Hana-chan, which is, as you notice it, she's short, she has a big chest, and they are thinking like, oh, this is not realistic, this appeals to male fantasy. While the manga itself, it was drawn by a woman, and she herself, she spoke about it, and she said that she wants some form of representation, that it's not unusual for people to have that kind of side, normalize it instead of sexualize it. And although the anime itself has a lot of kind of over-recycled type fan service, which can be a bit annoying, I would encourage fans or people who want to watch the show to really look beyond all the over-recycled, boring type of fan service and focus a bit on the relationship aspect. Just to get you into the context, that at the start of her freshman year in college, Hana Uzaki, a short busty college freshman, reunites with Shinshi Sakurai, who has a weird tense expression on his face that intimidated others, who was actually an upperclassman in the same club as her during her high school days. However, much to her surprise, this once active senior has ended up becoming a lonesome student, preferring to spend most of his time in his quiet peace at home playing games, and that's it. Uzaki does whatever she can to keep Sakurai from being alone, from convincing him to go to the movies, to going to his part-time workplace. While Sakurai finds her irritating and tiresome, he still goes along with Uzaki's hijinks and shenanigans. Even he knows that her perky personality will only lead to the two of them into various comical situations. Like, he knows something bad is gonna happen that day, people are gonna misunderstood. They're like, okay, you know what, it's not like I have hundreds of friends laying me down. She's probably the only person who would come and check on him and try to pester him to go out and do any kind of activity. Even so, as the days pass by, their relationship only gets better, to the point where people around them misinterpret them to be a couple. At any rate, whenever Uzaki wants to hang out with her upperclassmen, so Uzaki has a sarcastic, bubbly, and rather smug personality. She's really the optimum of teasing, like really perfect teasing personality. I love so much. She might come across as a bit of a jerk sometimes and a stalker. I cannot deny that. You would definitely notice it, especially in season 2. Season 2, like when he doesn't go with her as much, she just goes and knocking his doors, like so. But she also has a heart of gold and somehow human level. Like, she, beneath all this facade of being smug and sarcastic and imposing and sort of always breaks down his peace, she really cares for him and she really defends him, and if anybody says anything negative about her senpai, she really makes them pay back 10 times. The opening song of Uzaki-san does immediately convey the type of chaotic energy Uzaki-chan brings to the show, and it's kind of song that fits perfectly with the tone of the show. If you actually watch the opening and you don't like it, then you don't have to start the show. Because moving on to the next show I'd like to introduce to you today is Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. And you might have your own mixed feelings about this show as much as I am. However, I think it's really necessary to mention it for this video because most of the people, when they think about teasing, they either think about Takagi-san or about Uzaki-san, or they think about Nagatoro. It's like these are like the big three of this particular category of characters. So the story follows a meek and incredibly introverted sophomore who likes to draw and keep it to himself. when he accidentally spills the contents of the homemade manga in front of a gyaru. They made fun of him, but immediately brush it off, except for one girl, who is the titular Nagatoro. She stays behind to berate the boy, her senpai, for being a wimp and not standing up to someone grade below him, let alone a girl. But it's not like Nagatoro is teasing senpai for any other reason than her being a mean bully, right? I mean, it's not like she likes him, can it? So, at first Nagatoro's relentless antics are more bothersome than anything and leave him feeling embarrassed as he is forced to cater to her whims. However, as they spend more time together, a strange sort of friendship develops between them, and Naoto finds that life with Nagatoro can be fun, and one thing for sure, it's never boring or dull again. So I would like to share with you my thoughts about this particular show. I think, personally speaking, I thought it started off nicely. Like, the concept is not so bad, because Nagatoro is, well, as you can see, she's sort of delinquent, sort of a gyaru, and she has her group of gyarus who are also making fun of this really introverted guy, which you might think this is just a setup, so it's supposed to evolve into something else at any point of the anime or any point of the plot. However, for someone who experienced some intense bullying, so might be triggering, so I have to warn you about that. It might be very uncomfortable show to watch. Some other people flagged out that it's a form of Stockholm syndrome, because literally Nagatoro is bullying Naoto every single episode, but he's more and more falling in love with her, which is kind of, I mean, it makes sense for certain people, because as romance fans, we have a very large bracket for what we call okay, but it's a bit excessive in this case, especially with the fact that the ichi tag goes a bit closer to the hentai part. Like, it really gets as close as it could, you know, in the legal way. So honestly, I got so tired of the ichi antiques in this anime. The plot is very slow paced, almost non-existent if you may ask me. There is almost too much sexual harassment, especially at the beginning of season 2, and I got tired of it. I was like, I love Nagatoro, I think she's fun, and I was thinking that by the end of season 1 there was some sort of progress, but if you go in the beginning of season 2 and she almost starts from zero again, then that makes me tired. I'm like, I know they're gonna show some close moments. I saw some spoilers in the end of season 2, but I felt like there was too much repetitiveness in the kind of jokes and the kind of teasing they were using, and there was almost no consideration for the development that we thought had happened already at the end of season 1. So I'm not here discouraging you from watching it. I think it's actually fun, but at the same time I have to let you know that unless you are so deeply into this, I wouldn't really recommend it if you are watching for the plot or because you want to know what's gonna happen between them. So, I warned you. Well, this is a very, very, very famous classic shoujo anime, and I'm sure I'll mention it again in another video about classic shoujo anime, but the reason I put it also in this category is because it's one of those really forgotten but at the same time very well known stories where the basis of the relationship started on the principle of teasing. And I think I don't need to introduce them, but in case you didn't watch them, the anime is called Kaichou Maid-sama. It was released 2010. It has 26 episodes. And it's about Misaki Aizawa, who's a unique phenomenon within Seika High School in a predominantly male institution. She became the first ever female student council president through her honesty and diligence. Ever since Misaki got promoted to the position, she has been working tirelessly to allow a chance to the girls to feel safer in rough environment. Despite that, Misaki is very strict with the boys, that which has earned her the title of Demon President. Misaki runs one day into Isui, who's a popular boy in her school, when she is working as a maid cafe. Embarrassed that someone has found out about her secret occupation, Misaki promises herself not to let Isui destroy her reputation. However, the mysterious boy now begins to visit her the same cafe regularly to observe and tease Misaki. Will Isui keep the president's secret? We don't know, and we'll see. So, things I can say about this show that, I mean, if I start ranting about how much I love it, probably not gonna hear the end of me. But just to focus only on the aspect that we are presenting today, this anime keep the character development to the minimum. In order to help align with the comedy slice of life, perfectly light-hearted theme, which puts us into the context of Maid Cafe in action. In case you are a big fan of the Maid Cafe, in case you don't know about Maid Cafe, or in case one day you were in Japan and you went to a Maid Cafe personally, then you know what I'm speaking about. And I really love Maid Cafes, so that's another aspect. So the anime shows that all the life and travels of a young student, yet it shows us how fun it can be despite the toughness. Misaki is one of the prime examples. Like, her family is not the richest, she had to work in a maid cafe in order to make enough for her allowance and to survive, and sometimes she wants to do all her tasks as a council student in her school. So, of course, here it goes without saying that it shows us all those bittersweet, difficult moments of being high school, sometimes having really difficult financial positions, and living through youth, like all the romantic moments that are going to come forward. But I think you will really enjoy the teasing moment of Usui, and also the slow but same time steady paced development of a relationship, trust, and romantic feelings between the two characters. Moving on to talking about my senpai is annoying. And if you have noticed, body type for the female and male main characters is so much like Ore Monogatari, in case you watched Ore Monogatari. I'm gonna make another video where I incorporate Ore Monogatari in another category, but what I want to say here is that My Senpai is Annoying is a really funny story where actually the attempts of Futaba Ugarashi somehow flirting with the main character turns into reverse teasing. So she's basically trying to get his attention, but she gets teased herself by his really honest and frank opinions. Anime was released in 2021. It has 12 episodes, seasonal anime, and it's talking about working adults at a trading company. Saleswoman Futaba Igarashi has managed to hold her respectable job for almost 2 years thanks to the guidance of her senior co-worker Harumi Takeda. However, due to Igarashi's short status, Takeda often teases her and treats her like a kid, leaving Igarashi constantly annoyed by his antics. Despite this, Igarashi notices Takeda's reliability, as he's always ready to help whenever something at their workplace goes awry or goes wrong. As Igarashi and Takeda spend more time together, their relationship soon develops further than simply being co-workers at office. Hopefully. It is an office romance with what people call loli, or jailbait waifu. It's like older women who look much younger or look almost like a kid. The story is cute, it's fluffy, slow burn romance, it has good animation, and very much likable characters. As you can see from the photo, there is not just one main couple. There are actually, well, virtually there are two, but the truth is there are three. I'm gonna say why, but I really hope that you watch it, and it's a good show to relax if you don't want anything too complicated. Have you ever seen a kendo player decide to learn shogi? And what kind of image or thought you might have about a person who is proficient in kendo? Usually people who play kendo are very much self-disciplined. They have a lot of capacity to focus and to be calm, and when they have a goal, they try to walk straight into it. The anime is called When Will Ayumu Make His Move? It was released in 2022. It has 12 episodes. And when middle school kendo champion Ayumu Tanaka begins his first year in high school, he does not take the expected route of joining the kendo club. Instead, he signs up for the unofficial shogi club. His role motive is falling in love at first sight with Urushi Yaotome, the club's president and only member, and will do anything to get closer to her. However, Ayumu decides not to confess to Urushi until he can beat her in a match of shogi fair and square. Naturally, this self-imposed hurdle is a formidable challenge for Ayumu to overcome, as Urashi is far more experienced at this game and sees through his every strategy. Nevertheless, this does not stop him from praising her looks, her skills, and even her smile, while coupled with Ayumu's expressionless face and direct approach makes Urashi constantly blush. Learning more about Chogi and the charming player sitting across from him, Ayumu inches toward making his confession with each exciting round they play together, even if it is 1 pound at a time. So I guess from the summary you have guessed how the teasing aspect is very much present in this particular story. She tries to make him blush in some situations, but what happens is that whenever she plans something out, the way he answers is often unexpected for her, that it's like a reverse Uno. So this is a story that's less about two characters discovering their feelings for one another, and more like a cute cautionary tale where sometimes having too much pride can get in the way. The best teasing comes from situations where Urushi doesn't even realize that she's doing it, and when you don't try so hard and overcomplicate things, everything sort of works out itself in the end. I think you have noticed already that I'm so much into the diversity and inclusion part of any show ever I watch, and I think what attracted me first to this show is not only the title, which is called "The Maid I Hired Recently is Mysterious," but also the fact that the maid is not or typical white Asian, but she's brown skinned. The anime was released in 2022. It has 11 episodes. It's a seasonal anime. And the story is revolving around Yuri, who had a decent life in a small rustic mansion nestled in the corner of the countryside. Unfortunately, his parents suddenly passed away in a car accident, and he decided he would and continue to live his normal life all on his own. But maintaining a mansion, even a small mansion, is still hard work. Like cleaning the windows, sweeping all the floors of some 11 rooms or 10 rooms, and then going down the second floor and cooking and doing the gardening and many things. Like literally just a lot for an 11 or 12-year-old boy. And something he hasn't done much before. Like he was sort of being taught to be the head of the family, so he learned a bit about finances, a little bit about politics, a little bit about relationships. But there is just as much you can teach a 12-year-old. You cannot really teach him very complicated stuff, and you cannot really expect him at that age to do some house chores, especially if, like he was with his parents, there were maids, there were butlers, so there were a whole social network taking care of him and of his needs at that point. But now he's all in his own, and he cannot afford to pay, maids and butlers for himself, because that's just a lot of money, and probably he didn't have many left after his parent died. Yet another unexpected twist occurs when one evening he hears a knock on his front door. He opens it up, and a tall, beautiful woman with striking purple eyes standing there, in a full traditional maid outfit. This woman, Lilith, asks Yuri a simple question. If you let me stay in the mansion for you, can I be your maid? So, is that a choice? Not sure about that. Yuri is hesitant, but he says yes. But there is something mysterious about her. Is Lilith perhaps a witch or a sorcerer? Yuri cannot figure it out. Well, let's wait and see. The maid I recently hired is mysterious, has the setup and appearance of being a single gag show. It looks like loads of moments of comedy and misunderstood. However, it turns into something else by reinventing itself halfway through into full-on romance. Have you ever heard about Tsurezure children? In case you didn't, I think it makes perfectly sense, because it was a seasonal anime. It had a lot of short episodes, like 12-minute episodes, and it was released in 2017. It had like 12 episodes in total. Yeah. So our story speaks about young love, and young love takes many unique and fascinating forms that flourish as children begin to mature into adults. Thrown into an array of awkward situations, they will each discover what it means to let their emotions get the better of them, whether it's pubescent cluelessness, or social paranoia, or just silly misunderstood. finding ways to predict their feelings seems to just come naturally. The show was brilliant, heartfelt high school romance. It had this kind of snack-sized morsels, and I really loved how the characters interact with each other. Each couple have very different dynamics from the other. It's really easy to decipher. Okay, so this anime has a very long Japanese name, and I may try to read it because people call it Oreshura, and I will call it Oreshura during this whole introduction. But in case you want to hear the full name, it's called Ore no Kanojo to Osananajimi ga Shuraba ka Shuraba Sugiru. Yeah, it was released in 2015. It has 13 episodes, and I have here to let you know. I mean, it's not a warning, it's just letting you know that this is a very typical moe moe anime. Really, it has all the cliché, all the standards, moments of a harem moe moe anime. Really, you have to be so ready for it. And I remember when I watched this show, like maybe 10-15 years ago, I knew what I was getting into, and I was like thinking how bad it could get. Like, this is my initial thought when I started it. However, I have to also let you know, as potential watcher, is that although it's a very classic moe moe anime, it was fun. Like, in the end of the day, when I finished it, I didn't regret it. I was thinking like, man, this is surprisingly okay. I mean, the characters are funny, and if you ignore all those ecchi moe moe moments, it was a good story actually, especially the teasing part, like how far the female lead went into blackmailing. I mean, it's partially teasing, partially blackmailing the male lead into getting into this really confusing situation. So, let me start. The context is that the infidelity of Eita Kido's parents not only made his family fall apart, but also made him skeptic of love. Having no intention to delve into romance, Eita devotes his entire high school life to his studies in order to become a doctor. It did not take long for the beautiful and popular Masuzu Tsukawa to notice Eita's apathy. Tired of being the object of people's affection, she asks him to pretend to be her boyfriend, as she too feels disgusted at the notion of love. Eita, however, refuses, yet Masuzu has one trick left up her sleeve: Eita's journal, and threatening to post the embarrassing content online if he does not comply. Now entangled in a fake romance with the most desired girl at school, Eita's life is turned upside down. I think it was a fairly funny show. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it has any particular strengths. And on a side note, I think this is one of the earliest anime that actually take on the teasing aspect as a feature of the main character, after kaichou Maid-sama. Have you ever encountered two people who are too prideful to confess their feelings to each other, that they literally keep spending so much time and so much effort into making the other person confess first? And if you have never watched Kaguya-sama Love is War, then I can give you a small summary, which is the fact that it was released in 2019. It has 12 episodes and 3 seasons, and the openings are so dope. Definitely. Yeah. At the renewed Shoichi Academy, Miyuki Shirogane and Kaguya Shinomiya are the student body's top representative. Ranked the top student in the nation and respected by peers and mentors alike, Miyuki serves as the student council president. Alongside him, the vice president Kaguya, eldest daughter of the wealthy Shinomiya family, excels in every field imaginable. They are the envy of the entire student body, regarded as the perfect couple. However, despite both having already developed feelings for each other, neither are willing to admit it. The first to confess loses, will be looked down upon, and will be considered the lesser. With their honor and pride at stake, Miyuki and Kaguya are both equally determined to be the one to emerge victorious on the battlefield of love. So, as you might have imagined, there is a lot of mental chess, a lot of strategizing, and a lot of childish pranks. Tease each other in order to force them in a situation where the other person admits that they fancy the other person. It has great comedy, and a lot of people have enjoyed it at different age groups and different, let's say, levels of awareness of Japanese culture. But there are certain jokes or certain word plays by Miyuki and by Kaguya you would only understand if you have already watched like a number of other anime. It's like Gintama. It's the kind of shows that you cannot just dive in as your first anime ever, because you will miss out a lot on it. You will see there is a lot of sarcasm and a lot of mocking of what a typical shoujo would be usually like. Since we are talking about the teasing genre, I don't think I can actually skip over the Duke of the Death and his maid, because you will definitely come across this when you search the genre itself. But I have to say that I'm not a big fan of this particular anime for very clear reasons. First of all, because it's 3D, it's not 2D, so sometimes I'm a bit put off by 3D. I'm not a big fan of 3D animation. Like, it's not just certain scenes are 3D, it's like the whole show is 3D. And the second point is because a lot of the teasing done by the maid is just in a form of, ecchi scenes, sexual harassment, and whatever you put it. And I would be okay with that to a certain level or to a certain number of times, or maybe just in the beginning because you want to promote the show and get those really typical Japanese voice, or maybe internationally. But if it's almost the main aspect of the interaction between the two characters, and if the ecchi scenes become a core element of the whole show, that makes me really, I would say, uncomfortable. But some people said that has been only the case in the beginning, that the story develops better later on. So let me start. So the Duke of Death and his maid, it was released in 2021. It has 2 seasons and it was renewed for 3rd season recently. Scorned by his family, the young Duke is sent away to live in a near isolation. Fortunately, he's not entirely alone, as the manor staff, his dutiful butler Rob and his flirtious maid Alice, keep him company and make his life less miserable. As the Duke's romantic feeling for Alice grows, so does his continued frustration for the limits set by his unfortunate ability. Therefore, he resolves to break the curse cast upon him all across years ago, not only for his sake, but Alice as well. And the main story is technically very slow paced. I saw a lot of appreciation for the series. A lot of people saw that it was worth it to wait in order to discover how this kind of seemingly flirtous interaction sort of contributed at explaining the loneliness and the darkness inside of the Duke's heart because of his curse. But I think there is also a matter of perspective. Like, you might give it a chance. I hope that you enjoy it. And the final show I would like to mention is Kubo-san Won't Leave Me Be Invisible. And I have already talked about this show previously on a video called Anime that have Dendere characters as main characters. And I'll put the link here. I hope that you watch it and that you give it a chance. Thank you. Bye bye.